Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. A province-wide lockdown is coming to Ontario.
We're having new patients admitted every day, some in their 30s and 40s.
What it means and when it starts. A new strain of coronavirus has experts worried in the UK.
The new variant is out of control, and we need to bring it under control.
London goes into lockdown as borders slam shut. So do the vaccines work on this new variant? Our doctors are here to address that and more. Plus, the Prime Minister talks to Rosemary about the vaccine, economic recovery, and those election rumors.
I am not eager for an election. I think Canadians aren't eager for an election.
This is The National. There has been a lot of talk about a light at the end of the tunnel. We'll likely see it sometime next year when vaccines are widely distributed. But that light is, depending on your perspective, still a long way off. And for millions of Canadians, the blanket lockdowns last seen in the spring are now coming back. The latest numbers, Canada has now reported more than 500,000 cases. And despite all the measures taken so far, the rate of infections still trending up. Ontario alone reporting 2,316 new cases today. Only a week ago, 2,000 plus was record-breaking. Now it's the norm. And after emergency meetings this weekend, sources say Ontario's premier will move the province to a full lockdown, just like in March. That includes schools. Angelina King has the details, including the fears driving the decision.
Sources tell CBC as of 12:01 a.m. on December 24th, Ontario will be under a province-wide lockdown, similar to the shutdown in March with only essential businesses operating, planned for 28 days in southern Ontario, which includes the hardest hit regions, and 14 days in northern Ontario. Sources say winter break for elementary school students would be extended by 1 to 2 weeks.
I don't know how effective it's going to be just the night before Christmas. And so as much advanced preparation that you can give to communities, the better.
Dr. Mohammed Hashim Khan says a lockdown won't be enough without more testing, contact tracing, and the use of isolation centers.
I think we have to have a multi-pronged approach.
Sources say the decision to go back into a provincial lockdown was based on modeling data that shows as a best-case scenario, Ontario would see 300 people in the ICU by the end of this month, nearly 40 more than at the height of the first wave. The data also shows at the current rate of transmission, that number would grow to 700 by the end of next month.
If we don't get a handle on this now, our January could easily be a moment of historic consequences.
Earlier today, all hospitals in the Greater Toronto Area signed a letter calling on the province to implement tighter restrictions, saying this level of strain is simply not sustainable for much longer.
We're having new patients admitted every day, some in their 30s and 40s, which really speaks to the sheer numbers of people that are getting infected in the community, because it's very rare for people in their 30s or 40s to get sick enough to actually come to hospital and be admitted to the ICU.
Sources say the government is still working out the details of this provincial lockdown, including which businesses can and cannot operate. More information is expected to be announced tomorrow. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
A new variant of the virus is sweeping across parts of England. It appears to be more transmissible. In other words, it spreads more easily. So the race to contain it is now on. One by one today, countries, including Canada, moved to restrict flights and passenger trains from the UK. Meanwhile, inside that hot zone, a harsh lockdown went into effect quickly. As Farah Morali shows us, that in itself created chaos.
This was a scene inside one of London's central train stations last night, not long after the announcement of a new lockdown.
We do apologise for the overcrowding issues on this train this evening.
A rush to get out of the city with just hours to spare before new travel restrictions would make it illegal for many to leave the capital. The new lockdown was announced just days after the Prime Minister said cancelling Christmas would be inhuman.
Given the early evidence we have on this new variant of the virus, the potential risk it poses, it is with a very heavy heart, I must tell you, we cannot continue with Christmas as planned.
That variant is believed to be 70% more transmissible and is being blamed for a surge in infections. Today, the number of new coronavirus cases in the UK hit a record high, nearly 36,000.
The new variant is out of control, and we need to bring it under control.
Several countries announced today they are temporarily halting travel from the UK because of the new variant, including the Netherlands, Germany, and Italy. But some say those measures won't stop the variant from getting out.
I think it's almost inevitable that this virus will spread globally, will cause substantial increases in infection rates in the countries that it does spread to, and it will be very difficult to control.
I mean, I don't like it, I really hate it, but what can we do, you know?
On the quiet streets of London today, a sense of anxiety, but also frustration.
I think the lack of planning and the lack of ability to tell people that this was going to happen in advance of when it did caused a lot of havoc and confusion.
Empty streets, something Londoners will have to get used to, because this lockdown could last for months. Farah Morali, CBC News, London.
And details on Canada's restrictions on UK flights are just coming out tonight. Ashley Burke is tracking them. And Ashley, what will they look like?
Well, a number of flights landed in Canada today from the UK, but those will be the last of them for now. As those planes were up in the air, the government's highest officials were on the ground trying to figure out what to do. The Prime Minister and Minister of Health held a call with the Incident Response Group, and they decided not to divert those aircraft on the way here. Instead, Transport Canada issued a notice temporarily restricting all flights to Canada with passengers from the UK. Now, that ban is effective midnight Eastern time, and the Minister of Transport deemed it was necessary to protect the public. The restrictions are in place for 72 hours so the government can assess the situation. The Canada Border Services Agency confirms they are setting up additional screening measures at airports. We'll have more agents on site patrolling to see if anyone looks ill, and more scrutiny over travelers' quarantine plans. And those who arrived from the UK today went through all of those additional measures.
Even before today, there were restrictions on who could fly here from the UK.
Exactly. There are hundreds of people who have flown to Canada from the UK this week. They were on nonstop flights arriving in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. And since foreign nationals aren't allowed in Canada, those on board are either Canadian citizens or they fall under certain travel exemptions, including reuniting with family here in Canada. Now, all travelers, regardless of where they're coming from, must self-isolate for 14 days. Border officials are expected to crack down on this even more now and go back to those who arrived this week to ensure they're in self-isolation.
All right, Ashley, thank you. Let's bring in infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogoch, also a member of the Ontario COVID-19 Vaccine Distribution Task Force. So, Dr. Bogoch, as we heard, some people are describing this variant as much more contagious, but what do we actually know about it?
It's kind of interesting because we don't actually know a lot about this variant of the virus. We certainly know what the genetics are, but how this manifests in real-world settings is still unclear. It certainly might be more contagious, but it's not entirely clear if it is, to what extent it is. It's not entirely clear if it causes more severe illness, although early data demonstrates that it probably doesn't. And the other big unknown is how this impacts vaccine efficacy. So all of these are unknown questions, and certainly these are all under investigation right now by the UK authorities.
And I'm really curious, as an infectious disease doctor, when you heard this news in the last 24 hours, how alarming do you find it?
In all fairness, not that alarming. We've seen this a couple of times already throughout the epidemic. We know that the viruses mutate, and that's just what they do. And most mutations aren't going to do anything. And at the end of the day, what are we going to do about this? We're going to still put on our masks indoors. We're still going to physically distance ourselves. We're going to avoid getting the infection using all our public health measures that we have. And I think we'll need to hear more about this from the UK authorities, especially with regards to vaccine efficacy.
And I'll be talking to one of your colleagues about vaccines later in the program. Dr. Bogoch, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
COVID has dominated Canadian politics this year, from the fear and confusion of the spring to unprecedented pandemic spending. Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton recently sat down with Justin Trudeau to talk about all of that and vaccines and the potential of an election to come.
Good morning, everyone.
Early on in the pandemic, the Prime Minister was faced with the virus inside his own home when his wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, contracted COVID-19 while overseas. The House went into lockdown for 2 weeks, and while the Prime Minister says he never felt badly, it's possible he was also infected.
We know how contagious COVID is. We've got too many examples of that. It's very possible that I caught it. I don't know. I was absolutely asymptomatic, didn't have a sniffle.
Justin Trudeau says he won't get tested to see whether he was infected now that there's a vaccine. It's just not needed. But when it comes time to get vaccinated, he will be sure to set an example for those Canadians who may be more hesitant.
Yes, absolutely. When my turn comes, I will do it publicly and enthusiastically.
The pandemic has tested this government like never before, forcing it to manage a public health crisis and an economic crisis all at once. The record deficit has now shot past $380 billion. And there was also a promise to spend more, as much as $100 billion, to stimulate the economy on the other side. The Prime Minister says much of this is one-time COVID support measures, and the government will focus on growing the economy and limiting expenses moving forward.
But that is momentary. That is contextual around this pandemic. Ongoing, we're going to be extremely careful about adding regular expenses, because we know that we need to get things back into balance after this pandemic, or back on a better path after this pandemic.
Mr. Speaker,
what the better path is may become a vigorous point of debate in the new year. If it becomes difficult for the Prime Minister to govern with the minority, an election is not entirely out of the question.
There are big disagreements about green, about all sorts of different things. As we start engaging in the recovery, we have to make sure that the government is able to do what it has. So I'm not precluding any options, but at the same time, I am not eager for an election. I think Canadians aren't eager for an election. They want to see their government there for them.
For now, the Prime Minister is calling on Canadians to hunker down over what is likely to be a difficult winter, knowing things will get better. Rosemary Barton, CBC News, Ottawa.
While hospitals are filling up with COVID patients in provinces across Western and Central Canada, the largest number is in Quebec, with newly reported infections suggesting the pressure on the system will keep growing. Quebec reported 2,146 new cases today. That breaks a record set just yesterday. And as Valeria Corey-Minocchio explains, the race is on to get more people vaccinated.
This isn't your standard delivery. This freezer will store the more than 2,000 Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines the West Island Health Authority in Montreal is waiting for.
We have to learn how to manage those kind of freezers with the dry ice. It's important to follow every dose, every vial.
The vaccinations will be administered at this Veterans Hospital. It's one of 5 spots in Montreal that will be inoculating people starting this week. Across the province, more than 20 new vaccination sites will be ready to go.
We have the bigger number of residents and veterans here on site, so we'll be able to start with them. And also for the doses we have, we will be able to vaccinate also the workers that work here.
Residents in long-term care facilities are the priority, followed by healthcare workers. Even though vaccinations are ramping up, experts say it's by no means an answer to Quebec's climbing COVID cases and hospitalizations.
In the short term, it won't have any impact at all, except for those individuals who are receiving the vaccines.
More than 1,000 people are in Quebec's hospitals, which are feeling the strain. 10 are at a critical point, says the province's health minister. With Christmas and a holiday lockdown around the corner, it's time to buckle down.
We have to maintain a high level of care, isolation, all of the things that we know how to do. We have to do all of them through the winter months.
If not, Ward says the situation will get worse. Valeria Corey-Minocchio, CBC News, Montreal.
The COVID risk at seniors' homes and long-term care are widely known. Less talked about are prisons, but infections there are rising fast. And Talia Ricci shows us there are growing calls now to protect staff and inmates before things get worse.
From inside the walls of Kingston, Ontario's Joyceville prison, rising cases and a plea for help.
One of them, he was so concerned because the guy in the cell next to him has COVID and hasn't been moved off the range, that he put a bunch of garbage bags up against his cell wall to try and stop the airflow.
A letter written on behalf of the inmates asks for a plan and for enough supplies to keep them safe. Prisons were hit hard in the first wave.
In terms of Joyceville, I don't know really why it's gotten so bad, except there was obviously very little planning.
Correctional Service Canada says inmates who have tested positive are being medically isolated and closely monitored. adding that inmates and staff are required to wear masks and abide by physical distancing measures. But in-person visits were only stopped this week.
The mood right now is very tense, I would say, and a lot of anxiety and stress.
At least 3 staff at the Kingston prison also tested positive for the virus. The union representing its workers says there are extra cleaning protocols and sufficient PPE, but in-person visits should have been suspended sooner.
A couple of weeks ago, we asked CSC to stop the visits from hot zones. So, for example, from Toronto and Peel coming to Kingston.
There are now more than 50 cases at Toronto's South Detention Centre and dozens more at Stony Mountain Institution in Manitoba and Saskatchewan Penitentiary.
It's outrageous, and it's happening in different parts across the country, and it obviously impacts our communities as well.
That's because walls like these can't keep the virus out or hold it in. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
In Manitoba today, new cases grew faster than recoveries. 229 more COVID patients, only 135 recoveries, and 13 more deaths. Erin Broman shows us the toll those numbers are taking on healthcare in Manitoba.
Short walks are all Jerry Bilton has energy for. There's a benign tumor behind his left eye.
It just grows and it pushes on parts of your brain, which makes your right side go all wacky.
Bilton was scheduled for surgery to remove it in September. It's been postponed 4 times.
The ICUs are all full of COVID people. My next door neighbor here, she went in for an infected foot, and she hasn't been home in 6 weeks. She has COVID.
Bilton is one of thousands across Canada whose surgery has been cancelled so staff can care for the sickest people with COVID-19. The wards and ORs are empty at the Health Sciences Centre in Winnipeg. Dr. Edward Buchel still does life and limb surgeries, but half of all scheduled surgeries aren't happening.
If you have a herniated disc, you're having more pain. If you're having breast cancer surgery, you're not getting your reconstruction. You're going with just a straight mastectomy. Those are terrible things, but we cannot not keep people alive.
There are about 300 people with active COVID-19 in Manitoba hospitals right now. About 40 in already overstretched ICUs.
But 6,000 people not getting quality of life surgery because of that. Those numbers are real. They affect every single person. They could affect you.
It's affecting Jerry Bilton and his memory.
So I got a roasting chicken. I came home and I realized I already had one in the fridge.
Both he and the medical staff are asking people to follow the health orders so the system won't become further stretched and so that surgeries can resume sometime in the coming year. Erin Broman, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Nunavut has announced its first deaths linked to COVID-19. The territory didn't report its first infection until November 6th, but has since seen 259 confirmed cases. Today, health officials announced 2 COVID-related deaths, one a Rankin Inlet resident infected outside of Nunavut, while the other was from Arviat, a small community in the midst of an outbreak. The National Hockey League says it will return for a shortened season beginning January 13th. The League and Players Association reaching an agreement for a 56-game season, concluding around mid-July. A division realignment was introduced to limit travel, which includes a new 7-team all-Canadian grouping. The plan still requires approval from provincial health officials. The first doses of the second COVID vaccine approved in the U.S. are being shipped across the country. Those cheers greeting the first box of the Moderna vaccine being handed off for delivery. The companies pledged to provide 20 million doses by the end of the year. That rollout comes as the number of cases grew by more than 197,000 today, and as members of Congress reached a new COVID agreement worth nearly $1 trillion. It's expected to go to a final vote tomorrow. Some of the money in that deal is supposed to help renters. Whether there'll be enough is another matter, though. As Katie Simpson shows us, the wait for a deal has been tense.
Keeping food in the fridge and a roof over her kids' heads is what worries Talitha Turner most. The single mom lost her job when the pandemic hit, and like millions of Americans, she is now on the brink of homelessness.
It's just been a real struggle trying to keep things afloat.
for 2020.
While Turner eventually found work, she's not been able to keep full-time hours because the free childcare program at her kids' school was canceled over COVID concerns. She fell behind on her rent, and her landlord is trying to evict her.
You gotta stay strong in front of your kids. You know, my kids are, they're not babies, but at the same time, they can look at me and understand what's going on. Like, we know mama's going through it. She's trying to figure out how to get this bill paid, that bill paid.
Turner has been able to stay in her home because of a national ban on evictions set to expire at the end of the month. Congress extended that ban by another month as part of its COVID relief package and is providing $25 billion to help renters who owe back pay. Advocates argue much more is needed.
Estimates are that low-income renters will owe anywhere between $30 billion and $70 billion in back rent, which is clearly more than they can ever pay off.
Experts predict if there isn't more help, up to 40 million Americans could be at risk of eviction. If Turner is evicted, she'll be forced to make a brutal choice. Either move into a shelter or an apartment with her mom, who is severely ill and vulnerable to COVID.
Us going somewhere would probably be the best thing, is the shelter, at least until I'm able to get back on my feet, but let's pray that that doesn't get to that point.
It's a prayer shared by many, now searching for hope and help in this time of crisis. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Members of the Neskantaga First Nation in Northern Ontario are returning home. Up next, why the community's boil water advisory remains in place. Plus, what does the coronavirus mutation mean for you?
Will this vaccine protect us from mutations of this virus?
Answers to your latest COVID-19 questions. And later, keeping holiday traditions alive.
Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas to all.
From door-to-door deliveries to meeting Santa on a porch. This is Christmas in 2020. We'll be right back. Welcome back. After a water emergency forced them to evacuate, members of a remote First Nation in Northern Ontario are home for the holidays. But as Olivia Stefanovic shows us, the community is still under a boil water advisory, and it could take years before they trust what flows out of their taps.
After 2 months away, this is the moment the people of Neskantaga have been waiting for.
Christmas is here and we need to be home.
But their return comes with mixed emotions.
And why there's broken.
8-year-old Anastasia Muniz has never lived without a boiled water advisory.
This is 2020, for God's sake. We should be having clean drinking water at home.
Neskantaga has the longest standing drinking water advisory of any First Nation in the country. 25 years and still counting, despite recent positive water test results.
It's exhausting to live like this.
Charla Muniz told Prime Minister Justin Trudeau about Neskantaga's struggles in 2016. That same year, the federal government announced an upgrade to the reserve's water treatment plant, a promise now 2 years overdue.
Sometimes, I just feel like losing hope. What's the point? Are we supposed to live like this our whole lives? Is that what they expect of us? Are they trying to still assimilate us?
The advisory could finally be lifted once work on the upgrade wraps up in the new year. Then the community will have to grapple with another challenge.
If we're able to get clean water here, I'm still not going to trust myself to drink the tap water because I've been growing up drinking water bottles.
But Chief Chris Muniz hopes someday people won't fear what comes out of their faucet.
Well, I feel a lot more optimistic than I have ever been in regards to the water treatment plant because, it's, now that when we run the taps, that, the water there doesn't look like ginger ale, like what we're used to seeing. It's much more cleaner.
An uplifting moment in a generational struggle to access a basic right. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Neskantaga First Nation.
Scientists are trying to figure out what triggered a massive landslide in British Columbia's Central Coast region. Unlike the one in the Fraser Valley last year, this slide hit a glacial lake, and a local First Nation fears once again salmon stocks are at risk. The most recent slide was discovered last month. It is in a remote area about 220 kilometers northwest of Vancouver. Briar Stewart now on what we know so far.
On top of the mountains, the snow paints a serene picture. But in the valley below, the landslide's destructive path is obvious.
In many cases, you see the vast power of our natural landscape, and you see how it can suddenly change from some of these catastrophic events.
Brian Menounis is part of a team trying to figure out what triggered the massive landslide in late November. A group tracking seismic activity realized there was some kind of dramatic event in the remote mountains on BC's coast. Helicopter flyovers last week confirmed it. Scientists believe a chunk of a mountain fell into a glacier-fed lake.
Right now, we think it's something on the order of 10 million cubic meters. So that's almost about 4,000 Olympic swimming pools worth of material.
All that force created a wave estimated to be 100 meters high. It careened down the slope, carving through the valley below.
Just a huge area that was devastated at the bottom of that mountain.
The Jamelco First Nation fears the slide washed away spawning grounds used by chum and coho salmon.
It's a stewardship of our territories. We have to figure out a plan to rebuild those stocks.
There are still many questions about the ecological impact and just why the mountain gave way. Scientists believe it may have to do with the warming climate, as the receding glacier could have made the slope less stable.
This is a hazard that occurs in many parts of the world, and that hazard is when something causes one of these high glacial lakes to drain suddenly. If that happened in an area where there was a community downstream, it would have been devastating.
Which is why scientists plan on doing more flyovers and hope to do research in the field come spring. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
When we come back, we put your COVID-19 questions to an infectious disease specialist, including this question.
Shouldn't this next phase include vaccination of seniors of any age?
That answer right after the break. Welcome back. With COVID vaccinations now underway in Canada and many people waiting anxiously for their turn, our inboxes have been filling up with your questions, and to answer a few of those, let's bring in infectious disease specialist Dr. Suman Chakrabarti. And our first question today comes from Mark Morgan in Calgary.
My question is, will this vaccine protect us from mutations of this virus, such as the new variant of COVID seen throughout England?
Dr. Chakrabarti?
Yeah, so the answer is probably. We don't know a lot about this variant yet, and there's a possibility that in the future it could cause enough changes in the virus that the vaccine has to be altered somewhat, similar to what we see in influenza. But I don't think it's going to make a huge change in terms of what we do with the current vaccination. I do still think this vaccine will allow the pandemic to end, and this might be something that we have to change from year to year, like I said, similar to influenza.
And as we heard from your colleague, Dr. Bogoch, earlier, still so many questions about what this variant really is. So still a lot more study to be done. Let's go to our next video question. This is from Barbara McEwen. She is in Edmonton.
My question concerns the phase 2 rollout of the vaccine. Shouldn't this next phase include vaccination of seniors of any age who may not live in a congregate care facility but are at high risk of severe disease or even death due to underlying medical issues?
So, Dr. Chakrabarti, the rules are, I'm sure, slightly different in different places across the country, but kind of as a general proposition, do you think that seniors who aren't in long-term care homes should be the next group to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. This is a very, very good point, as we do see that age is a very large risk factor for having severe disease, especially over the age of about 60. When these second and third phases go out, I do expect there to be some more details available, and I do think that the older individuals over the age of 60 will certainly be made a priority group. How that exactly rolls out will depend on the vaccine supply and how things are going, but I do think that will be one of the tenets of the subsequent phases.
And our next question is from Sylvana, who asks, how do we know that in the future this vaccine does not cause some adverse reaction, say, in 10 years? What assurances are there that this vaccine is safe, and not just safe now? Dr. Chakrabarty?
It's a very big question a lot of people are asking. We don't have that data yet. But that said, when you look at vaccines, for the most part, the really serious side effects tend to come up in the first couple of months during the study. But that said, it's still very important to do post-marketing surveillance for other types of side effects. Putting this into perspective, though, nothing is without risk, and certainly getting COVID itself can give you some long-term effects, heart damage, strokes, and even long-haul symptoms. So I think any small risk of long-term effects is greatly outweighed of long-term effects that can happen from COVID itself, and I think overall the vaccine is quite safe. When it's my turn, I'll definitely be getting it.
And we have just 30 seconds, but let me quickly ask you one question I asked Dr. Bogoch earlier on, and that is, when you hear this news about the variant, as an infectious disease doctor, how concerned are you?
This is something that happens quite a bit with different types of viruses. We see these mutations happening. It's difficult to know. For the most part, they don't tend to have any big consequences, but they occasionally can. It's just important to keep track of this. And once we know more data, then we can react accordingly. But right now, the answer is I'm not totally sure, but it's important to keep an eye on it.
All right. Dr. Chakrabarty, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me.
And as always, you can send us your COVID-19 questions, message us directly on Instagram at CBC The National, or you can send us an email, covid@cbc.ca. After the break, we revisit my conversation with a Canadian music icon. Gordon Lightfoot opens up about his decades-long career and his biggest regrets.
I'm Elaine Chow, in for Jamie Poisson. Tomorrow on CBC's Daily News podcast Front Burner, we take you inside the world of crisis line workers as they face a surge in calls due to the pandemic. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Lamp is burning low upon my tabletop. The snow is softly falling.
Something there to put you in the mood for tomorrow, the first day of winter. That is Gordon Lightfoot with his 1967 classic Song for a Winter's Night. Lightfoot's contributions to Canada's music history are legendary. I had a chance to interview him in his Toronto home earlier this year before the pandemic, and I wanted to play it one more time as we look back at his long career and what's still to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gordon Lightfoot.
Let's make him welcome Mr. Gordon Lightfoot.
He is one of the most iconic Canadian musicians of all time. His songs, some 200 of them, weaved into the fabric of the country. Gordon Lightfoot has been performing for more than half a century.
Everybody's moving, nothing stays the same.
His sound helped define the folk scene explosion of the 1960s. A very Canadian star with international appeal. His songs have been recorded by a long list of music giants, from Johnny Cash to Neil Young, Sinatra to Elvis. Lightfoot even inspired an anthem of the disco era.
Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well.
Every song tells a story, from railways to romance. You can feel his words. The great Bob Dylan calls Lightfoot his favorite singer-songwriter and even helped induct him into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
I've known Gordon for a long time, and I know he's been offered this award before, but he hasn't ever accepted it because he wanted me to come and give it to him.
Lightfoot's storied career is now the focus of a new documentary on GEM, and he's not nearly finished. The 81-year-old has just released a new album and plans to tour once COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. I had a rare chance to talk to Gordon Lightfoot in his home just before the pandemic hit. So my first question is not a profound question at all. I'm just curious about this room. Do we call it the music room?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It just looks fantastic. Tell me a little bit about this room. For example, there are 3 guitars that I guess 4 here. That one's a little battered, but that's your beloved one, right?
Well,
sometimes your loved one can be a problem. It is. It's an old guitar, and I found it years ago. I was staying at the King of the Road Hotel down in Nashville working on a record, and I found it in a record store or an instrument store.
Yeah.
And bought it for a couple of $100, and now it's my main Martin guitar for on stage. Here.
And there's a little thing cut out that says, "Anger can kill you." Is that just a little reminder for you?
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah?
is. Yeah, I've got a short fuse too, sometimes.
Still?
Yeah, it reminds me.
Yeah. Because you seem like such a calm, gentle person.
Well, I try to stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of my. I really try to be friendly and get along with people.
Do you ever get tired of worrying just a little bit?
Let's talk about your new album.
Yeah.
One song kind of stands out because it's very playful on the album. I think it's called Just a Little Bit. And then there's some songs that are more wistful and maybe even a little melancholy on that album.
Songs of anguish in there. There's songs about this nightmarish song. But a guy's having a nightmare. He's dreaming and he's saying, at night I'm drifting on a sea of despair. I see a bimbo and there is no body there. That's, where are the girls in my life?
So that does seem to be a theme, right?
Yeah, it's always been that kind of a theme.
But I think of the documentary, and you very explicitly talk about some regrets in that documentary in terms of relationships with women over the years.
I regret it very much. A lot of it. I created emotional trauma in a whole lot of people, and didn't really know that I was doing it at the time, but I was hurting people's feelings. I learned to be very careful about that after many years in the business. But the trauma that I have brought on to other people, I regret very highly.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your music. And not just the new music, but the old music. And I was thinking to myself that somebody who's my age grew up with your music. I know your music so well, and I love it. But there are people who are watching this who maybe are new to Canada or are younger, and they don't know your music. If we were to make a playlist, kind of the essential playlist of Gordon Lightfoot for some of those people to understand what should be on it, at the top of my list, I'd put, If You Could Read My Mind.
I never knew I could feel this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went wrong, the feeling's gone, and I just can't.
So let me throw out a few other names if I would put on the list, and you either tell me, don't put it on that list, or why you think it should be on it. Obviously, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I can tell you a couple.
Okay.
Okay, the Wreck, Sundown, Early Morning Rain,
Yeah.
Canadian Railroad Trilogy,
Absolutely.
Song for a Winter's Night, Carefree Highway.
Yeah. The only one on that list I hadn't thought of is Song for a Winter's Night, but that, which you didn't actually write in Canada, right?
That was right when I was out on the road, yeah.
In the summertime.
Yeah.
But it sounds like such a quintessentially Canadian winter song.
The air is still in the silence of my room. I hear your voice softly calling.
One of the really cool things about you is, you stayed in Toronto all this time, but also you really have explored rural Canada. Not a lot of people who have been #1 on Billboard's chart have also canoed through all these Canadian rivers and enjoyed the wildlife there. Has it had an impact on you as a person? Has it changed you at all as a person, being in those places?
I never actually forget about meeting animals face to face in those situations. When you're standing looking at a musk oxen and he's like standing like 15 feet away from you, looking at you,
mm-hmm.
I've written one of my best tunes on it. I wrote a song called Shadows up there one time. Wrote it right, the whole tune right on the trail.
There's a shadow on the moon in the waters here below. do not shine the way they should. And I love you just in case you didn't know. Let it go.
There's an interesting story about that song, Shadows. Apparently your friend Bob Dylan was playing a show in Edmonton a few years back, and a fan shouted it out as a request. He knows it.
He knows that.
And he sang it. I mean, I know you've had this long relationship with Bob Dylan.
Well,
but...
I mean, we had more fun just hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was like more of a laugh than anything else, you know.
But that he would know your song so well and that a fan would know to shout that out in a concert, and in an instant he just adds it to a set. What does that say?
I know about that. I was quite surprised by that, actually.
The song that you wrote on a canoe trip.
Yes. So that's just the way it goes.
I mean, tell me about the connection between the two of you, especially in the 60s and 70s.
Well, okay, I remember years before the Woodstock Festival, just hanging out with all those guys and the wives of my first wife and Sarah and our children, all playing together.
And I think you had
our kids played together.
Yeah.
Our children played together. At one point, my house in Rosedale here was like party central for a whole lot of these people, because it was only like 8 minutes from downtown.
So over the years, who's been in your house to party or to play music? So Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Paul Simon, I think one time.
Yeah,
right?
he's been there.
Yeah,
yeah, we practiced there. He came up to my house after a party one night, and was there for 2 or 3 hours. He had some people up there, but I took him up to the 3rd floor, and I played him the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, because I had just written it about 2 weeks before.
Wow.
And I said, well, check this one out. And he sat and listened to it right through. I love their work. I've always loved Simon and Garfunkel's work.
Hang on
just
a sec,
that
though.
much.
Hang on a sec. So you played for him, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, before basically anyone in the public had heard it, right?
Yeah, he was the first
He's
person
the Bridge
to
Over
note
Troubled
that
Water guy, right? So, I mean, he wrote one of those, I mean, so many great songs, but an epic song as well. What did he say when he heard Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? What did Paul Simon say?
He said, I like it. You know, yeah, I like it. Gee, that sounds good.
So I'll finish with this. You seem like a contented guy. New album out, documentary celebrating your incredible career. You're still touring. What's left? Is there anything left on your to-do list?
No, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. I want to stay happy. I want to stay happy. No matter what happens, I'm going to stay happy.
Well, I don't know that you fully appreciate how many people have been touched by your music and still are. And I've told you, they're songs of yours I can listen to in any circumstance at any time, and they just are moving. And it really is a remarkable thing. So it's really nice to have a chance to talk to you.
Thank you.
Up next, in our moment, a centuries-old Christmas tradition even a global pandemic couldn't stop. But first.
It is a special moment, and you know, it's a wonderful thing to see the kids laugh.
A physically distant porch meetup with St. Nick, just one of the many ways Santa is spreading his holiday magic in 2020. We'll be right back. For over 100 years, every elementary school-aged child in the town of Shumacher has received a Christmas present from the town's founder. Frederick Shumacher, who died in 1957, has been giving kids gifts every Christmas since 1916. The tradition lived on with his family overseeing the fund after he was gone. But this year, it'll have to be a bit different, kept alive thanks to the community's firefighters. And that is our moment.
We used to assemble at the McIntyre Community Centre. So there was a ballroom up there, and we used to buy generic gifts based on age group and gender. And there'd be a table set out with a bunch of gifts that are wrapped. And the students would go up and pick a gift. Now, because of COVID, we obviously can't mass together. So we set something up where we actually asked the students, the children, what they wanted. They gave us a couple of gift ideas. You'll have some kids who just moved into the community and don't know where this is coming from. You know what I mean? So we try to share that story. When we met at the hall, we would say the story about Mr. Shumacher and where the gift is coming from, so they understand. Because a lot of people are thinking, "Oh, I'm getting a gift from Santa or whatever." We just want to make sure people know this is from Mr. Shumacher. This has come from somebody who lived, years ago and has since passed over 60 years ago and is still giving to this community.
Not only is this a terrific story, but I'm wondering, how have I not heard anything about this over the years? And you saw there are quite a few toys that they give out to the kids in that community. So imagine this, Shumacher used to go down to Eaton's in Toronto, buy all the presents, take them on a train back to the town. What a beautiful moment. That is The National for Sunday, December 20th. Good night.